I'm gonna be honest, I think the Barbie movie was mid, but not because it was too feminist or too woke or too girly, but the way that it executed those feminist woke girly ideas. And I think that the limitations to how they executed those feminist woke girly ideas was the intentions behind their marketing. So let's get into it. Let this be your spoiler alert if you haven't watched the Barbie movie yet. I don't want to influence how you feel about the movie before you even get a chance to see it yourself and decide for yourself. I have two main criticisms for the movie. My first criticism, which some may perceive not necessarily as a criticism, but just a personal preference for what I would have liked to see in the movie, the way that they packaged up this idea of patriarchy and feminism and all of these ideas and concepts and things. Not that they necessarily had to reinvent the wheel, but the movie was so hyped up and they didn't package anything in a way that I haven't already seen before. In fact, the way that they communicated these ideas were so direct and so obvious that it could have served as like, if you don't know what the patriarchy is, watch the Barbie movie. They explain it in beginner detail. For that reason, I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't explore it in a way that flipped it on its head, because they had opportunity to, because there were some interesting interactions with how Barbie Land was and how the real world was, because there were some like really cool juxtapositions. For example, Barbie Land is basically the opposite of the real world, but it's also like an extreme opposite of the real world. The real world was much more complex and nuanced, but in Barbie Land, it was just like, yeah, female power, female owned everything. And Ken, in a really silly, goofy, dumbed down, simple way, represented women in the real world. And the cool interaction happened when people from the real world came to Barbie Land, and their perception of it was like, oh, here goes patriarchy taking over Barbie Land. But for Barbie, it was her first time seeing how patriarchy acts in her world, because she had never seen that before. And they kind of touch on it like towards the end, but I wish they would have explored that and created some better plot that really like took that to depth. And then my second criticism is that I feel like the villain in the movie should have been Mattel. There's this overarching theme of the villain, which is patriarchy, but that's represented by Ken and all the Kens kind of bringing patriarchy to Barbie world. And they kind of dip their toes in Mattel kind of being a villain a little bit, but they skirt away from that. And I think the reason is because their marketing efforts were to reposition Barbie in the market. So Mattel can't be the villain because they're behind the movie, and Warner Brothers, but you get what I mean. I just can't help but think that the movie would have been a lot more interesting if Mattel was the villain and we explored the nuances of that.